The city was just beginning to stir, its concrete bones shivering under a blanket of fresh, pale snow. Under the morning sun, the streets looked almost magical. But for CEO Arlon Crawford, they were just another obstacle between him and his empire. He stepped out of his building, his mind already racing with deadlines, quarterly targets, and the relentless noise of a world that never stopped demanding more. But the moment his polished shoes crunched against the pavement, the noise in his head went silent. Because standing there, pressed against the freezing iron fence, was a tiny figure. She couldn't have been more than 6 years old. She was clutching a green backpack to her chest, her boots half buried in the snow, trembling violently in the winter chill. Arlen stopped. In a life built on efficiency and speed, this was a pause he hadn't planned for. He approached her slowly, the steam from his breath mixing with the icy air. She looked up, her eyes wide with a terror that seemed too heavy for such a small face. She took a hesitant step closer and whispered words that cut deeper than the wind. "Sir, my mom didn't come home last night." In that instant, the morning light, the fresh snow, the impossible quiet of the street, all of it collapsed into one chilling realization. She was alone. And somewhere out there, in a city of millions, her mother was missing. Before we continue this journey through the snow, if you believe in the power of second chances and the kindness of strangers, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from today. Your support helps us tell stories that truly matter. Arlen had built a fortune from nothing, weathering corporate storms that would break lesser men. But the look in this little girl's eyes left him feeling helpless. Her name was Safina. Through the chattering of her teeth, she explained that her mother, Mara, worked double shifts at a bakery. She always came home before sunrise. Always. But today the sun had risen, and the door had remained shut. Safina had waited, curled under blankets, listening for footsteps that never came, until her fear outweighed the cold, and she walked to the only place she knew her mother delivered pastries, this building. Arlen ushered her into the lobby, the warmth of the heater wrapping around them, but he couldn't warm the chill in his own heart. He checked the security cameras, hoping to see a late delivery, a delay, anything. But the screens showed nothing. Mara's trail ended near the marketplace where the blizzard had been at its worst the night before. Logic dictated that Arlen should call the authorities, hand the child over to social services, and return to his glass office high above the street. But as he looked at Safina, clutching a cup of hot tea with both hands, a memory surfaced, sharp as broken glass. He remembered being 10 years old, sitting by a window, waiting for a father who packed a bag and never came back. He knew the specific hollow ache of abandonment. He knew that if he walked away now, he wouldn't just be leaving a child. He would be leaving her to the same darkness that had once consumed him. He couldn't do it. Arlen took Safina's small hand in his. He promised her, with a conviction he hadn't felt in years, that they would find her mother. They stepped back out into the white world. The storm had left the city paralyzed, cars struggling, the sun's glow dim and fragile. Arlen and his driver moved through neighborhood after neighborhood. They showed Mara's picture to vendors, to shivering taxi drivers, to anyone who would listen. Hours bled into one another. Safina, though exhausted, refused to cry. She scanned every corner, her eyes darting with a desperate hope, expecting her mother to step out from behind every snowbank. But the streets were empty. Arlen watched the color drain from Safina's face. He told her they should stop, go somewhere warm, but she refused to let go of his coat sleeve. She held on as if letting go meant accepting that her mother was gone forever, and maybe she was right. Arlen wasn't searching as a CEO anymore. He was searching as a man trying to heal the boy inside him. His intuition led them away from the main roads, deeper into the industrial district where the snowdrifts were untouched and the cameras didn't reach. There, by a small fire in an alley, a homeless man looked at the photo. He nodded. He had seen her. She had slipped on the black ice carrying heavy boxes, hurting her leg, and two strangers had helped her toward the community shelter a few blocks away. Hope is a strange thing. It warms you faster than any fire. Arlen scooped Safina up, wrapping her in his own expensive coat, and they rushed toward the shelter. Every second felt like an eternity. Safina leaned her head against his shoulder, her tiny fingers still gripping his sleeve, her trust absolute. When they burst into the shelter, the air smelled of soup and antiseptic. It was crowded with people seeking refuge from the storm. But there, on a narrow cot in the corner, lay a woman with a bandaged leg and bruised hands. She looked defeated, her eyes closed in exhaustion. But when she opened them and saw her daughter in the arms of a stranger, the exhaustion vanished. Safina's cry broke the silence of the room. It was a sound so raw, so filled with relief, that even the nurses paused. She scrambled from Arlen's arms and buried herself in her mother's embrace. Tears melted into the blanket as Mara whispered over and over that she was safe, that she had tried to come home, that she loved her. Arlen stood back, watching the reunion. He felt a lump in his throat that no amount of money or power could cure. He quietly arranged for Mara's medical care, covering every bill, ensuring they would have food and heat when they returned home. When Mara tried to thank him, he simply shook his head, looking at Safina. He told her that her daughter's courage had saved them both. As he walked back out into the daylight, the snow was beginning to melt under the gentle sun. Arlen realized something profound. He had spent his life building a legacy of wealth, but today, he had built something permanent. He realized that not all storms are made of wind and ice. Some storms live inside of us, born of loneliness and past pain. And sometimes, the only way to calm those storms is to be the shelter for someone else. It makes you wonder if you were in a rush, buried in your own problems, and saw a child standing alone in the cold. Would you have stopped?